What's up guys, Cam from Evilkind here with a little bit of something off the beaten path. Today we're going Hollywood with a little movie review action because everybody loves Hollywood, right? Let's waste no time, cue up on our marks, and start rolling. So film reviews aren't really my jam, but after watching The Devil All the Time, I found myself, well, just a wee bit inspired because what I got from it was a very bold and blunt, how can I put this, demonstration of pure evil, friends. I'm not a fanatic or a zealot or anything to any extreme. I just see what I see based on how I've come to understand the world. And from behind the Christian lens, this film is basically satanic poetry in motion, but I shall expound. So Hollywood's going through an unprecedented period during this pandemic. Many movie theaters all around the world are still closed or operating at a much lower capacity. So as far as I know, huge budget blockbuster studio films are kind of on hold. The focus now seems to be more on episodics and mid to lower range budget productions. So what did certain big guns in Tinseltown decide to do right off the bat as they targeted captive streaming audiences quarantined and couch-bound? They went ahead and attached two of the biggest young and trending A-list actors, Marvel's current and beloved Spider-Man, and Twilight's global teen heartthrob, Edward Cullen, and made a movie that basically bashes Christianity over and over and over again for the entire duration of the film. The Devil All the Time, a profoundly appropriate title. In my humble opinion, for entertainment purposes only, the only reason Tom Holland and Rob Pattison were cast in this film was to get as many youthful, younger generation of the future eyeballs they could here in America and all over the world to consume this movie as they painted Christianity as the most evil, hypocritical, murderous, sexually degenerate, backwoods deliverance type crock of worthlessness to ever exist. Every scene in this film was crafted solely to pummel and bludgeon Christianity with a barbed wire laden Negan style bat. This is literally the only reason this movie was made. It wasn't about the story, it wasn't about a unique approach to filmmaking or any type of gimmick. It was purely and exclusively designed to inspire hatred and disdain for the religion of Jesus. Why would they do this? Because this world is pure evil. That is why. From the very first scene, we are introduced to the evils of war, along with, you guessed it, the evils of Christianity. Because in this war, the bad guys actually crucified enemy soldiers alive, leaving them to die slow, torturous deaths. In The Devil All the Time, the anti-Christian symbolism starts from the word go. When a group of American soldiers stumble upon the sadistic landscape of crucified warriors only to find one of their own hanging on a cross still alive, what do? Do they attempt to remove him from the cross and tend to his wounds? No. After giving it about 15 seconds of thought, they shoot him in the head to put him out of his misery. I guess it was less work for them, you know? We're then introduced to the shooter, the war-damaged, slightly crazy-eyed country boy who returns home to his ultra-religious poor Christian parental figures, totally PTSD'd and fully prone to spontaneous violence. He meets the love of his life, has a child, and then suffers the agony of losing his wife after she was struck with late-stage cancer totally out of the blue, still in her late 20s or so, but that's just how the cookie crumbles when it's the devil all the time. What made that loss of the love of his life even worse, though, was his shattered faith in Christ, who refused to come to his wife's aid with healing even after all the violent prayer sessions as he smacked around his son for not praying hard enough in front of his creepy homemade, shoddy wooden, horror movie-esque forest cross. Apparently God also chose to turn a cold blind eye to the blood sacrifice he faithfully brought forth in the form of his son's pet doggy that he shot and also crucified on that same backwoods cross. Because when it's the devil all the time, everything must be crucified. What's Christianity without rampant crucifixion? You know what I mean? Meanwhile, in the midst of all this Christian mania, cue the Ramsay Bolton carbon copy bug-eyed preacher who turns out to be 5 degrees of straitjacket crazy. And just a quick side note, this character also appears in the new Charlize Theron release, The Old Guard, because this version of villain is seriously clicking for them right now. Evidently, child abuse, a crucified dog, wholly unchristian revenge violence, and the creepy forest cross weren't quite enough to drive the point home. We are then presented with the fanatical Christian evangelist who pours venomous spiders all over himself during a sermon to prove the power of God or something, and then stabs his wife to death with a screwdriver a scene or two later to prove he can get God to resurrect her, because when it's the devil all the time, that's what zealous preachers do. Our focus then turns to PTSD's son, who turns out to be Spider-Man and the protagonist of the film, who tells us right off the bat, right as the story finally begins to move forward after the mom dies and the weird dad kills himself, the top-billed A-lister, our world's current Spider-Man, tells us that he's done praying. Tom Holland, the globally recognized Marvel badass and hero of this film, proclaims to the audience that he is done with Christianity and with God. And that sentiment is reinforced throughout the film. Every scene where his ultra-pious grandma is either dragging him to church or talking about church or shopping for church, Spider-Man's demeanor is always the same. Totally over it, disinterested, and anti. His time with Leonora, either at church or by her mother's grave, it's the same thing. He's always hanging back, looking bored, smoking a cigarette, totally disengaged, and over it. Once again, Spider-Man / Tom Holland, the film's main protagonist, is portrayed as the only character with seemingly enough sense to completely deny the virtue and validity of the church, totally by design, folks. He's instead painted as the hero who finds ultimate justice by rebelling against it all and killing the preacher and 3 other bad guys. And not the preacher I just mentioned, the other crazy preacher. Action on Twilight. With Rob Pattison, we get the young, good-looking replacement preacher who turns out to be a veritable sex addict and filthy rapist to a certain degree, just a total sexual degenerate. His sermons are evil to the nth degree as he froths at the mouth, looking just as sadistic as the Ramsay Bolton character. They couldn't have had him perform it more twisted or evil, but why would they do that? Why would they cast a global heartthrob, Edward Cullen of Twilight, to play the most degenerate of sexual degenerates in Christian preacher form? To get maximum eyeballs on the evils of Christianity, to get all the young, hipster, teeny bopper netizens glued to their phones and TikTok to bear witness to this anti-Christian extravaganza. Unfortunately, this is what some sectors of Hollywood truly stand for. So whether you're down with Christianity or not, it really doesn't matter. What does matter is reality, and the reality is there is some dark force in Hollywood strategically creating content with a holy, satanic agenda in mind. I mean, no offense to anyone with my assessment. I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone specific. Maybe the producers had none of this in mind as the project was all coming together. I don't know, but I doubt it. I'm just an observer totally tripping on the blatant and obvious nature of it all. Alright guys, this is my review. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'm your friendly neighborhood Evilkind buddy. Show us some love over here. Is that so much to ask? Check out our shop at evilkind.com. We've got t-shirts, skate decks, other random gear to satisfy your consumer needs, and we have 40-ounce Evilkind Sport hydration bottles on sale now for $39.99 plus free domestic shipping in the continental US. Check out our movie Life, a 2-hour dark comedy free to stream also at evilkind.com, starring myself and a bunch of other cool LA actors. Why wouldn't you want to get down with that? And as always, stay tuned for more fresh and original content right here on Channel Evilkind. I'm Cam, aka Camstar1322 on the gram, and until next time.